You know, what is variable cost? What is fixed cost? On page 125 they tell you. What is semi-variable cost? That's on page 126. These are test questions. All right? Full costing, fixed manufacturing cost expenses. Here's where chapter 5 starts. Full costing. What is full costing? What is fixed manufacturing overhead? And you see is equal to expense. What I'm saying is here, in full costing, you include the fixed manufacturing overhead in inventory. And in variable costing, you expense the fixed manufacturing cost in inventory, in the year that you're incurring. That's variable cost. That's what that's what I have here, where it says full costing, fixed manufacturing cost equals expense. Means expense it on the variable costing, right? All right? Variable costing, we just did what variable costing is. Product cost and variable cost. Product cost and variable costing is 1, 2, 3 to get you to here. You don't include the fixed cost, that's all it is, in the inventory section. External reporting purposes, which one do we have to use? Full costing, right? Full costing. What's a period cost? Meaning you expense it in that year. Usually what? Selling and administrative expenses. And under variable costing, your fixed overhead is expense. All right? In the period. Product cost is under variable, under full costing. Product cost means everything in the inventory. So you add it to the product cost. Contribution margin is always the selling price minus the variable cost. Selling price minus the variable cost. Yeah, I think it's on page 140, calculation. And the rest of it is chapter, now, I'm sorry, go back down here. In this section, so it says chapter 5. Chapter 5, page 176 is an example of full costing or variable costing, and that's exactly what we did in the problem. Okay, so if you did the problem, you understood the problem we just did, problem 1, and all those little exercises, that's what we did there. Chapter 5, make sure you read page 179, 181, 182, review the example. Also on page 185 is JIT, just-in-time inventory. Okay, if you're using just-in-time inventory, which a lot of companies do, then you're not going to have this problem with full cost and variable costing. Because for the number of units you sell, you're going to have number of units made. And remember, if the number of units sold and the number of units made under full costing or variable costing, your net income is going to be the same. So if a company's using just-in-time inventory, they're not going to have this problem in their calculation. All right, a lot of companies do. And that's told to you on page 185. Everybody understand what just-in-time inventory is? Okay? Just-in-time inventory is, we buy something from the outside. We buy the materials that we're going to assemble from this company. We only buy and put it into this warehouse and immediately transfer it here as we need it in manufacturing. Okay? Now, many people think that just-in-time inventory is something that we have enough of in one day or 2 days. Okay? Just-in-time inventory for automobile manufacturer would basically mean they have enough inventory here to transfer it to make this last for 6 months. Okay? They need that much inventory here so that when they call for it in the actual production department, there's enough in here that can sustain them for 6 months. Okay? A very small company, and I like to use the example of a liquor store. You know, the liquor store, the reason I use a liquor store because they have to buy from a New York State distributor, the store itself, the retail store. If they're located on Grand Street, you own a liquor store on Elmwood Avenue, and they could deliver it within an hour, and every Friday you sell 12 bottles of vodka, and today's Friday and it's 7 o'clock, and you're open till 10 and you already sold 9, you could call them and have them deliver 3 more or 4 more bottles or 6 bottles of vodka or a case of vodka in an hour, why would you have 10 cases of vodka stored in your warehouse or in your basement? Because remember, inventory doesn't make money for you until you sell it. All right? Now, if the distributor is located in Syracuse, New York, and it takes them 2 days to get the vodka to you, well, then maybe you need to have 2 extra cases or 3 cases of vodka in your inventory, in your basement, at 3 retail stores. Does that make sense? So that's your just-in-time inventory. You don't have inventory stocked up, because inventory doesn't make you money. So that's a way of cutting costs. If you're a retail store, if you're a manufacturer, you cut costs by using different concepts of inventory. Like I said, just-in-time inventory is really used by a lot of companies. You own an ice cream store. Could ice cream spoil?
Yeah.
Sure, it could get freezer burn, right? Even if it's packed, or solidly packed, it could get freezer burn if it stays too long. So therefore, if you own the retail store, you want ice cream that is basically made within a relatively short period of time, and you want that ice cream to be sold in a relatively short period of time. You don't want it to have it in your freezers for a long time period where maybe you're gonna get freezer burn or something of that nature where it's okay? So do you see how it's used in almost every type of industry? Okay? Just-in-time inventory, me as an accountant, what would that be? Paper, okay? Maybe I need, there's 5,000 sheets, is it 5,000 or 500? 500, I think, probably, sheets in a little thing, and you buy a case of it, there's 12 of them in the case. And it's like $30 or $40, depending on the type of paper you buy. Well, I'm not gonna buy paper, or I'm not gonna have 20 cases if I'm using 5 a year. At the beginning of the year, maybe buy 5, what's he say? Some cases, if you deliver it, just throw it on the ground if it bothers you. Okay. If they deliver it, why would you buy 1 or 2 cases, and then call them up, they deliver it in a day, and if it's free shipping, why would I buy 5 of them to store them somewhere? And then I have to actually carry them up, where they can come deliver them right to where I want to put them. Right? You gotta think about these things logistically. Now, when I say, let's say I buy 5 cases I use up 5 cases of paper a year. I buy 2 cases in the month of January. My busy time is really January, February, March, April. Very busy. The corporations go on forever, every month. Both individuals that I'm gonna do with the corporations. Hypothetically, say, my busy time ends May 15th, really. Okay? So, when am I going through the majority of the paper that I'm using in my copy machines? Because I'm doing everything on a computer, and then it's being printed off on these machines, right? On my printers, all my tax returns. Then I gotta give people a copy, so then I save a copy, and then I gotta e-file the difference. So, let's use the example, I know I'm gonna use 5 cases. If I buy 2 cases in January, and I'm gonna need another 2 cases, let's say I'm gonna need another case in February, maybe another 2 cases in March. If I went out and bought all 5 cases, I have to physically, let's say they even delivered them, I had them delivered over here, okay? Now, I have computers in every room that we have work. So you're gonna use that paper in every room. Why would I store all these 5 cases here, which is a pain in the butt, when I can only have 2 cases? Then when I need them, I can have them, let's say the other room needed 1 case and I needed a case. When they deliver it, they'll deliver it there and here. Otherwise, I'd have to carry it. And it may seem simple, but think of a large organization that they're producing something. And it's a factory as big as this building. And they're delivering stuff here, and they're delivering stuff on the 2nd floor or the 3rd floor. If you have everything delivered on the 1st floor, then you're gonna have to hire, or you're gonna bring everything up to the different floors that you need it, as opposed to the delivery people coming and delivering it right to where it should be delivered. And of course, you'd have to have a person that does the checking on that. Do you see the logic? But that saves you a person that you would have to hire to do that. Or a person that's going to land up doing it, and it's gonna be time consuming. All right? How about cleaning personnel? Okay? You know, you're gonna need people to do cleaning for you in the industry, in the business. All right? You're gonna clean, or you're gonna hire somebody to do cleaning. How often do you have them come in? Depending upon what image you wanna do, what image you wanna show. All right? Image to me is very, very important in my business. Okay? At this stage of my life, I don't really worry about image so much of myself. But when I first started out, say the first 20 years, I would never meet a client unless I was dressed with a tie, shirt, you know, pants. Now I'm just damn with all my underwear. No, I'm serious. And, you know, image is a big part of life, of what people perceive you to be. It's just as important as a product or the service you're selling. It's what people perceive you are. Because if they perceive that you're not giving them even in a business such as an attorney or a lawyer, or go to your doctor's office. If you think your doctor's a schmuck, you're out of there. Okay? If they give you the image that this place is a clean place, it's you know, everything is clean in the doctor's office, they're efficient, the doctor looks somewhat normal, the likelihood of going back. Well, it's the same thing with accountants, same thing with attorneys, same thing with any businesses. And that's something that they don't teach you in the textbook. They assume that's common sense. Okay? But that is all just as important as maybe the product or the service you're paying. You can have a very smart doctor, and he has, you know, you hear the term very bad side bed manners. Okay? You know, you're gonna have this operation on your hip. You're 70 years old. The odds of you dying is 20%. Imagine coming in a doctor and going to the doctor and saying, you need this hip operation. You may die. And then walks off. You know, that's what they call bedside manners, obviously. You've already lost trust in that doctor, that accountant, that manufacturing process, whatever you're buying, whatever you're selling. The stores do it, a good point of it anyways. You go to any grocery store, or like Wegmans or Tops, how they have their displays, how they try to attract you. It's just the image. Not only are they selling you the product, but they're trying to sell you the image of the store. Why would you go to Wegmans? Why would you go to Tops as opposed to going someplace else? They're selling you image. So you got to take those items into consideration. And just as important as anything you've learned in a textbook of, let's say, a lot of you take sales classes, retail sales, or whatever, if that's what you're going into, management classes. Okay? These are things that you really have to consider. Yeah, image and that type of thing. Okay, any questions on chapter 5? Anything you want me to go over in chapter 5? If I was you on chapter 5, I would also go over, since you got all the answers, obviously the full assessments on page 189. Problems are going to be just like that. Questions should be almost very similar to this. The questions, and I would do questions 1 through 5, and that's what you got here, page 180, 189, self-assessment questions 1 to 5. That's the type of questions you're going to get through from chapter 5. You're going to get a problem on chapter 5, and I'll go over that tomorrow from chapter 5. And one will be full costing and variable costing. If you understand what we just did here, you got it made. You got it. Okay? So you have to review it. You have to basically review it to reinforce it. I can't reinforce it for you. I can just show you how to do it. All right? Okay, I'll give you back your text today. From everybody does pretty well. Like I said, everybody does pretty well.